as I've said, I try to separate myself from things. And I will be honest with you, I have a hard time, as I said, I have a hard time sitting back and watching people make mistakes. And I feel like that guy on that Progressive commercial. He says, you know, we can't stop you from being your dad, but we can stop you from this, because the guy sits there and if somebody is at a hardware store and they're looking for a piece, and you can tell by the look on their face, they're looking for something. Dara, have you ever done that? Where you've walked into a hardware store and you can tell they're looking for something, and you pretty much know what they're looking for. And if you wait for Lowe's or Home Depot to give you help, it doesn't exist. And if they do, they don't know what they're doing. And so I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut and not saying, well, what are you doing and what are you facing? Because odds are I've done faced that. I've done been down that road. And I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut. And so, like grandkids, Bailey, Jacob, they all know this thing. David, they all know this thing. Whenever I cross that line, and the only way I can back out of giving my opinion is to say what? Shut up, ball. Anytime I need the door just to say, I need to stop. And this is my way of me pulling myself back. Because the thing is that it is my nature to want to help. It is my nature to want to teach. The problem with that is that it honestly does me, you know, the old saying, they tell you when you were younger, your parents, right after they're beating the snot out of you, would tell you what?
Yes, because I love you.
Yes. And your kid says, well, you're not the one getting whooping. But seriously, inside the mental anguish, that if you're a good parent and if you do not feel anguish in beating the snot out of your kid, even though they need it, you're not a good parent. If it doesn't bother you to whoop your kids, then you're doing it wrong. It should bother you. And again, I don't care what you think. I'm just telling you my personal thing, because if you enjoy, I would much rather, any parent would much rather their children make intelligent decisions. They would much rather, think about it, Eric, you got a crew working for you. Would you much rather go through your day and let your crew do your job and accomplish a job at the end of the day, or do you want to walk out there? And I tell everybody, I'm a jerk by nature. I am a smart A by nature. It's how I was born. I was born with a big mouth. I was born that kid. When I started studying martial arts, one aspect of me, I had a method of discipline in my life. The other one was like, oh no, you ain't pushing that button now. Now I can kick you in the mouth. I can back it up now. So one aspect that made me worse. But in learning how to back up and go, I'm going to save myself trouble, and I'm going to try to save myself grief, and I'm going to try to save myself the anxiety of trying to fix your problems. It's hard. It is so hard for me to watch somebody do something that I know that is not going to bear fruit. Let me rephrase this. It's going to bear fruit, but it's going to bear you wrong fruit. I have my opinions. It's just like, and where I need your prayers at, I need your prayers that it doesn't, and this is a fine line. This is a fine line that if you not being here doesn't bother me, I need to find out why it doesn't bother me. Because am I the right person when it doesn't bother me if I don't see you guys here? Does it bother me that when y'all are not here, that I think, well, you know, I'm here, why are y'all not here? I'm like, you know, if you're having a barn raising, you're having anything that you're trying to build together, and then you look around, and I told this guy one time, he came in, he said, I want to work on the church. I want to fix up the church. I said, fine. I said, fix anything you want to fix. I said, but understand something. Do not try to fix this stuff, AJ. Wasn't you that said it, what I'm using. I told him, don't try to fix this stuff if somewhere in this thing to fix it. I said, what you're wanting to do is a grand idea. It's needed. We need somebody to fix this stuff. I said, but if you can't fix this stuff by yourself without you getting butt hurt by not having help, then don't do it. Because that's just going to cause you to get angry at somebody else. He said, oh man, I can handle it. It won't bother me. His second day in doing things, I heard him griping. And I said, what are you griping about? Nothing. I said, what's the problem? Well, I kind of figured. I said, whoa, stop right there. I said, you're going to say you kind of figured, well, yeah, I kind of figured that they'd take by my example. I said, dude, what did I just tell you when you started this project? Well, I just figured out, somebody might see me up here and they might want to take an interest in it as well. And that's kind of what I was hoping. I said, that's not what I told you. Well, I just thought, well, there's your first problem. You thought. You got to do this stuff because that's why you do it. As I told y'all last week, I do this stuff because I am terrified of me not doing this stuff. What if this is my calling? And as I've told you, God has been very gracious to me. He has taught me that I am not called to be popular, AJ. I'm called to be consistent. I am called to keep this church open until the next generation of leadership can get my dumb butt out of the way and get somebody who can really do something with this, and I will be here until God shows me a replacement. If God never shows me a replacement, Dory, and I'm 95 years old and I'm still going, guess what? I'm still going to be here. And when I die, one of the things God will have a lot of things he can get on to me about and a lot of failures. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. Do I want to be here by myself? No. Do I want you to be here? Yes. Do I ever want to be in a position to where it doesn't bother me when I watch y'all go down roads? See, the disadvantage, Dara, I know you can understand this, and you and Artie, since y'all are the oldest ones here, y'all are like 20 years older than everybody else, especially Artie. But the thing is that y'all have been around long enough that y'all watch things and you can kind of see things being set up. Eric, if you've ran a crew long enough, you can tell when something's going on. It's one of my favorite ones is that when you watch a shop and all of a sudden you can tell that's when somebody starts talking how much they get paid. Oh, no. And you can see it. You can see it. All of a sudden you'll start seeing it's like a fire that starts moving through all your crew. And you're hearing it's like, he gets paid what? Well, I've been here 20 years. I don't make that. Why does he make that? You make how much? And you can start seeing it, and the morale just instantly starts collapsing. It's hard for me to not want to say something. And when I see you guys, I have this area in my life to where I don't want to be involved with people no more. I'm tired of being hurt. I'll just be honest with you. I don't want friends. I told a friend of mine the other day, I said, I would much rather deal with the pain and the loneliness of not having friends than to be invested in a friend that I know that down the road is going to turn into heartache somewhere or somehow. Think about it. How often do you have friends that don't really turn into some kind of issue? You're going to have some kind of problem. Somebody's going to say something in a relationship, and all of a sudden this person that you talk to is no longer talking to you. And if you cared about that person, it's hard for you to go, what did I do wrong? Well, you said this and you said that, or you acted this way, you acted that way. I got a guy who used to call me, and he would call me about, I hadn't talked to him in a couple of years, and all of a sudden he started calling me. And as he started calling me, he had a common denominator, and every time he called me, he was drunk. If you want to get drunk, that's your business. But please don't call me drunk. Don't call me stoned. Don't call me when you're under the influence, because I'm sitting here and my brain's on this wavelength and your brain is on this. And does anybody like talking to a drunk? What is it like?
They get minutes are done.
No, you're just sitting there and you're just like, and I have a problem with listening to conversations. I really try to listen. You ever talk to somebody who's drunk and they're like in 14,000 different ones? And so the thing is, this guy wanted me to call him, and I just kind of just put a distance because I don't need that in my life. I've got enough on my plate as it is. And so I would much rather not have friends. I'd rather have a small group of friends, of people that I'm around, than to be exposed to all these different people and to carry that weight of all these different people. But at the same time, I have a role as a pastor. I have a role as a teacher. What is the definition of a pastor? What is a closest definition of a pastor? If you was going to describe, what other trade would describe a pastor? AJ, you should know this one. Shepherd. The shepherd has to sit here and constantly, and he has to watch the flock, right? And he's watching these flocks. He's over watching these two little sheep get in here. There's Artie and Monty running around together. And he's like, oh, yeah, them two sons of guns right there, they're going to get in trouble. Watch them. Yeah, them are the two right there. So they're always going in the direction. So what does the shepherd have to do? Go over there and he'll be like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. So what do the shepherd has to do? Has to pull them back in. Because why? The shepherd knows at the end of the day, the master walks up and he goes, what'd you do to your crew? Well, I got tired of hearing whining. So what'd you do? I fired the whole crew. And your owner would go, well, how are you going to get it done now? So you have to kind of work. So you have to learn to let things go. I need your prayers that I can learn to let some things go, that I don't make sure I get them personal. Because I don't want to seem like I remember and I truly miss these days. When they happened, I did it. I remember when Amber and I first got married. We had a little baby, and it was hard to get to church on Sunday. Hard. And some Sundays we would miss because it was easier to stay home versus getting everybody up, fighting everything. It's just easier to stay home. My mother-in-law would call me. Where was y'all at today? Well, we didn't want to hear it. We didn't even want that phone call. And we'd sit there, Dory, every time the call phone would ring, it would be her going, where was y'all at today? Eventually, that became us. And we were the ones who were involved in church. And the thing is that we started learning that our involvement in church, us serving God, was what helped us make it through everything else. And the closer we was to God, the closer our walk to God was, the better our quality of life became. The better things worked out for us. I told y'all about this the other day. I put an ad in Facebook looking for helpers. I got so many people saying, hey, call my son. He's interested. I ain't calling your boy. I've got 20 women who says that they want to do the job. They all got fingernails out to here. I don't trust that crap. And I prayed. I said, I don't have a problem with a woman coming to work with me. As a matter of fact, I asked my daughter to come work with me. I don't have a problem. I don't think that, women can do these trades. And I prayed and I said, God, I don't know who or what to hire. I believe in the relationship with God, that I believe in a God that cares about every aspect of your life. I don't count God as being intrusive in my life. I want God to be intrusive in my life. And you know why I want God to be intrusive in my life? If God is intrusive in my life, that means he's intrusive in every part of my life. And I don't mind, because there are things that I still think is right. And I need God to show me and to finally beat it through my mind and give me enough strength to get rid of this crap. Because it's this constant battle of learning how to walk. Learning how to be this person that I should be. And I need his help. I need his guidance. And I've learned that if you're going to surrender a part to God, you can't surrender a part to God. God is a whole God. He is, you're either all in or you're all out.
Right.
There is no middle ground with God. You can't strike bargains with God and be in the middle with God. Either you're in, what the thing says, either you is or either you ain't. And so the thing is that, so this is my prayer. This is how I approach God. And I said, God, look, I don't want this business to be without you. So then I believe in a God, and I said this words, I believe in a God that cares about everything and wants to be part of all parts of my life. Then I need your help, God. I'm stupid. I have no problem telling God, Dar, that I'm stupid, that I do stupid things, because history has proven, Eric, that I am stupid and I do stupid things. History has proven that. All you got to do is look at my past story and you'll see every stupid decision that I ever made. And I live with my stupid decisions every day. And so I said, God, I don't know who to hire, who not to hire. I don't know what to have. And guess what? I ain't found, because every person that I thought might be the right person, there's been a roadblock put there. One person that I was having a conversation with, and I asked this person, I say, are you really sure that this is the road you want to go down on? If so, tell me why you think that you can do this job. And silence. I would tell people, hey, look, if you're interested, send me your experience, send me your resume, send me whatever you got. Here is my email address. Lance, you know how many emails I've got? 1 out of all these people. What does that tell me? I'll put it out there. I'm not wasting no more time with it. So, real fast story, I said, God, now I need to talk to you about transportation. I need a van for work. I am sick and tired. The other day, I'm at a job in Bryant. Now, I try to tell y'all real life stories and how I relate to God in real life versus reading. Now, we're going to read that here in a second. But if I cannot prove to you by my life that God does not exist and does not answer prayers in my life, then what am I selling you? Right. A lady we pressure washed this lady's patio. And she said something about, well, what do you think? I said, ma'am, think about it like this. Do you know that I did not try to sell you an algae treatment for your patio? She said, well, yeah. I said, because you know why? And she said, why? I said, because I don't believe in them. There's nothing that really kills mold except replacement of boards. Dar, if you got mold growing into a board and its pores are in there, if you put something on it, it's just going to treat it, isn't it? But if you don't get it all out, and if you leave any trace of it in there, it's coming back. And especially it's going to come back, Eric, if you put moisture back on it again. It's going to go, oh, heck yeah, I got all my buddies out of here. It's just me. Boy, I can really populate again. Which is the whole story about sin. But the thing is that I said, if I don't believe in something, I'm not going to sell you something. And so the thing is that I'm looking and I need something and I have to go and I'm running down the road and I'm thinking, oh man, I've got to go in Sherwin-Williams now and pick up something. And I've got $4,000 worth of tools in the bed of my truck. Do you know how fast $4,000 worth of tools can disappear? Before you even know it, it's gone. And so I'm like, this has got to end. So I said, God, I don't know. I can tell y'all every aspect of every van out there now. I can tell you the long-term life expectancies of these vehicles. I can tell you the difference between the Econoline vans and the Express vans. I've done the research, Dory. I can tell you which engines to get, which engines to not get. Why? Because I try to make informed decisions. I don't run by the seat of my pants. I've learned that when Monty does by the seat of his pants, he always gets streaks. Y'all don't get that. Y'all figure that later on. But the point is that, so I've done this research. Last week I said, God, okay, I don't know what decision to make. I see so many things. I've done the research. I said, God, you know what I need. I don't know how to get it, Emily. I don't know how to have the financing. I don't know how to do all these things. But do you remember I told y'all that God said a long time ago, he says, Monty, he says, I will give you what you need, but will you take what I give?
Right.
And he always gave me the things that I wanted there, but 90 times out of 100, they're all used.